Hello, everyone. So, Professor, I do agree with your points about leadership. Um, I think it's interesting how you talk about having to continue learning and everything. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. With other professions, especially working in healthcare, like your nurses and things, you hear about having continuing education credits, if they still call it that. But every so often they have to do certain things in order to keep their license active, but ultimately to, stay up to date on practices, learn new practices, industry innovations, anything like that. And as you said, techniques, therapies to keep them relevant. So it's kind of like when it comes to, our own career, those of us that are not quote unquote required to get those continuing education credits, we still have to do that in a sense so that, like you said, we can stay abreast of what is new. Just like the example you used, you can't be a lawyer, go through school, and then that carry you throughout your career and you be successful. That doesn't work like that. Things are constantly changing. New things are coming out all the time. Laws, practices are going away. And we have to be mindful of that in order to be the best leader that we can. So we have to go out and seek opportunities where we can update our skills, update our knowledge. And that could come a myriad of ways. You could take courses online. You could take advantage of being a part of, organizations for networking that also do things like seminars, meet and greets where you can learn in person from people. Um, there's there's so many different ways to go about it. You can take free courses online, paid courses. There's just so many options that we have now, but you have to be willing to do those things again to further your career, but to also be the best version of a leader that you can for others because those things matter. And it's not just professionally, and when I say that, I mean like again, techniques and new innovations coming out to do your job. It's also your personal skills and, like you said, relationships that you have to keep updating. So to kind of give an example of that for me, I've had past experiences with a supervisor who I feel like is really big on keywords like self-awareness and things like that, but sometimes her actions didn't reflect, in my opinion, and others as well, but since I'm speaking for me here, did not reflect self-awareness. And then she would say things like, sometimes I match people's energy, and I'm like, we are all human, but as a leader, I don't think that that is how you're supposed to, go about that versus maybe deflecting or I mean not deflecting but maybe redirecting or disengaging if you feel a conversation or interaction is going negatively. So we have to be mindful that what we are, asking of others or quote unquote teaching others, we also have to be practicing regularly and act as a role model as well for those things. But going back to my original point, um, we also have to be mindful of ourselves and where our skills are at. And sometimes, it's not enough to just, you could practice a skill and get to a certain point, but then there's also maintenance. So you have to be willing to work on those interpersonal skills, get feedback from others. Again, you can take courses, you can use things like in my last class where we did the 16 personalities, which lets you know your personality type and how that can interact your leadership, or impact your leadership rather, and how you can, with knowledge of these things, how you can work around them, how you can improve yourself. Be willing to have feedback not just from your peers, but from those that are also on your team. So it is a constant work in progress. It will always be a work in progress. And as you said, you have to keep doing these things. You have to keep moving forward. You have to be willing to keep going no matter what stage that you're at to be the best leader that you can be.